Share screen. All right, welcome to office hours. This will have to be a bridge because I can't find my power cord. So we're just going to set up Type-ORM, and I'll do a separate video later for setting up CI, which is continuous integration. It's something which will automatically run our deployment actions, tarring up our, zipping up our files, sending them to the server, running them whenever we commit or push to GitHub. So right now we'll do the chat room example. We'll set it up with Type-ORM, and we'll try to get that up all before I run out of batteries. So here we go. Okay, here's the version that's on GitHub. I already started this, but we'll start from scratch just to demonstrate what it's like. It's a little different than the Type-ORM defaults, and they say you're supposed to use the CLI, which is their command line interface. And we will do these steps just to see what it's like to set up. And we're going to change some things because they have a little strange conventions, and I tried to make it more like the existing chat room ORM example. So we're going to go to, let's go to real terminal. Okay. I'm going to go run npm install -g ts node -node. So this is a TypeScript runner for Node projects. So because Type-ORM is very TypeScript, we're just going to go with TypeScript. It's got some great tools for VS Code that'll help you out. And to run this kind of stuff with Node, you need a special thing to run TypeScript Node. So we'll do that. So we're going to say install Type-ORM globally, which is npm install -g Type-ORM. And I think I already have it, so it might not actually install it. And you should see something like this. Now, there is a Type-ORM init, and this is how we create our new project. So we'll say this one, Type-ORM init, Type-ORM init --name chat room --express. And this is telling it basically set up the scaffolding for an express application. And it says project created. So we'll do cd chat room ls, and we have all this stuff, package JSON, tsconfig JSON, a source directory. This has some stuff like entity and controller. We're gonna sort of reconfigure this to be very similar to our existing application, so it won't have all of that. So we're gonna go to chat room in documents, or wait, no, it's just in my home folder, isn't it? I've been making this over and over. Let's see, open folder, home folder, chat room. Here's where I put it. And we have src, we have controller, entity, and migration. Migration is okay. I'm going to rename all of these to make sense with what we used to be doing. So I'm going to say migrations, plural. I'm going to rename this to be models because they're basically the models. I'm going to delete this one entirely because controllers it has some weird abstraction where the controller has all these methods, and then the routes are here and there are magic strings in there, and this imports. I don't really like how this is set up, or it's weird to me, and it's definitely confusing. So we're going to just delete that. We're also going to delete routes. Okay, so we have a user model. That's the only one it generates. We have a problem here because Now we're in TypeScript land. If you notice, all of these start with or end with .ts. This here is TypeScript, and it knows a whole lot more about the structure of your project. So it's actually trying to find this module. We want to basically install everything that's in this finished one, which I figured out. So this is going to have body parser, cores. Helmet is something for security. I found it in an example. We might as well have that. We need PG for Postgres. Reflect metadata is for some type ORM thing. This is like the node server for type ORM, and then obviously type ORM itself. So and then these have the types that correspond to some of these packages. So these will help VS Code give us very good hints and error checking based on the types of these packages. So those are good to have too. So if I go to my package JSON, I see type ORM. I'm going to populate in the ones that we don't have yet from my cheat sheet. So we'll add, and you could do this with npm install save all of this, but you know, we're going to just add these. Body parser is already in there. We need cores. We need helmet. Express, it's saying, oh, that's a duplicate now. So, okay. PG, reflect metadata, node dev, these are all needed. And the, it included this one already. Okay. So once the file turns, you know, when you're in TypeScript land, you get a lot of help with errors. So the file turns red right here to say, oh, there's one error. You can click it to jump to it, or it's highlighted right here in the scroll bar, which the scroll bar reflects the actual length of the page. And this is approximately where on the page you find it. So it's sort of, and it's right here. It's an extra comma, which is, you don't want that. So I'll save this file. All of this is broken because I deleted these files, and so we'll delete that. In index, we'll delete, I don't know. Oh, this, we probably just need to run npm install now because we've set up that whole package file. And this will put everything we need into our project. And the error goes away, hooray. Now routes doesn't exist. This is some magic stuff, reading strings out of the routes, and I don't like it. We're getting rid of it. This is sample data that they just set to like make it a sample. I'm deleting that. And really all we have to do is now define our models and put our express routes, just like we did with the sequelize. Now we should not speak its name because it's sequelize. So I already set these up. I'm just going to copy them in because we're running out of batteries. So we have a user model and we have a message model. And each one's in a file. And they're all TS files. It's just like JS files, but TypeScript. So type ORM, you import these kinds of these things, which are all built into type ORM: entity, base entity, primary generated column, and many to one here. And you import the user model from our other file. So it's right next to this file. So we decorate. This is a JavaScript decorator. I'm not sure if anyone covered this, but they're weird. I'm really kind of, I don't know how I feel about these. They're sort of stolen from, I don't know, Python or somewhere else. But they do some magic stuff with your class and with your fields. And this is how they've chosen to implement a lot of the functions of this ORM. So your model is just a class which extends base entity. So it looks like that. And then you decorate each thing with something above it. So regular column, this one is your primary key, and generated means it will increment. And then many to one is how you do a foreign key. So I just basically copied this from an example, but I had to add nullable false so that it is you must have a user on every message. And yeah, it's like a function that says type goes to user, which is the other model. This is how you map back to messages. So this is saying like, how do you get back to messages once you have a user? And I'm not sure exactly why you have to map both ways like this all the time, but this is how TypeORM works. And by the way, we have TypeScript now, so we can say user dot, and it actually knows what's in our user class. So messages we have set up in user already, so that's why there's no errors right now. If we go over to the user model, you can see we have the primary key is ID, we have email, name, age, and then messages is the array, and we have the reverse. On messages, on message model, we have many to one, and on users, we have one to many. And this goes the same kind of thing. Type, we import the other model, and then message, this is how to get back to the user. So again, this knows what our message is, and it provides all of the fields. There are these bricks or whatever this is, and it's this one. And it's an array because, again, this is one to many. One user has many messages. So messages is plural, and it's going to be actually an array of this message class. And this is a TypeScript thing. So all of these are sort of TypeScript type annotations. And this is basically what TypeORM leverages to be very safe about it and to work much better than Sequelize. Okay, so we have our models. We go to our index file. And then really all we need to do is import user. That's good, we're gonna need that. We're gonna import message, the model's message. Those we don't need, I guess. Or maybe we do, we'll leave them for now. And then our endpoints are very much the same as in our chat room ORM, the one we used with Sequelize, very, very similar. So I'm gonna just load that up and we'll copy them from there. So sandbox, Gus cost, chat room ORM. Here's our server. And I guess it's called index.js now instead of server.js, or index.ts instead of server.js, but it's the same thing. So all of these we can just copy right out of here. And they'll be mostly the same. I'm going to copy all of that. Oh, we might want to use that, add that cores thing. We'll do that now. And I'm going to highlight these and indent a little bit. Oh, and TypeORM has 4 tabs as the standard. So 4 spaces to each tab. So that's kind of annoying, but they're a little more tabbed in. Okay, so you see it's immediately highlighted the problems. Oh, let's get our cores in here. Another nice thing about TypeScript is we hover over this, it says cannot find named cores. Well, because we've already installed it, you can click quick fix and just say import, and there it is. That's all you gotta do. Very nice. Now, find all is not, does not exist because it's a different name. It's actually just called find. So we do user dot, and then we can see there's a find method. I mean, that's the one that'll get all the users. And we do the same thing here, message dot find. And then the last problem is that when we do message dot create, I haven't totally figured out exactly how to describe this one field here, but it's message.save. And this is actually going to have to be user like this, or I'm not sure, but we're just going to try to save the whole req.body. And this will be smart enough to know when we have an error, it will return the error code that we have. But that's it. We have our 2 user endpoints, get and post, our 2 message endpoints, and we see there's no errors left. So we have a pretty good chance that this is working. So let's save this. The last thing we have to do, there's an ORM config, and this is where you set your variables. Now the problem is it's another, we can't set these as environment variables. I don't know what's wrong with, all this node server stuff where I don't know how you're supposed to use environment variables. So I'm going to look into that. But we'll just put for right now, username is, this is what I set up, Postgres, the password is CIC, locally at least. Database is chat room. Oh, it's Postgres. Port is 5432. Synchronize, I think this automatically like wipes out. This is the same thing that the sync did with Sequelize. It's probably a little better, but we'll leave it true for now. And then we have to change where these are because we changed the names to match. It's migrations, or sorry, models and migrations, plural. And I don't know what subscribers is, but we'll make that plural. Models, migrations, subscribers. Okay. So now we can, I'm going to go just to my Postgres. I have a Postgres GUI here, which is pretty nice. And I'm just going to make a brand new database. New database, chat room. Okay, so this should be all brand new, and we can make our first migration to set all this up by going to the terminal and pasting a command, which I figured out. So this here is npx, that's like find this TS node that we installed globally. Actually, we might not need that first part. Do we have TS node? Yes, we do. Cool. Okay, so we don't need that anymore because we globally installed TS node. But rather than running node, and rather than just running type ORM, because we need this in node mode, we have to do this. This is the CLI script, and we're going to generate the migrations like this. And we get an error. Database chat room does not exist. Well, I thought I just made it. I didn't. Okay, it totally does exist now. Let's try it again. Okay, migration, whatever, and the name, see the name I put here, it appends that to the end, has been generated successfully. So if we go back to our file, we can see that it has generated the full migration with all of the stuff. So this is much nicer where it actually builds the full tables for us. It builds the foreign key and it does the reverse migration to drop everything. So, so we have just about everything we need to start, and we start the server by doing the second command. And I'll post these in the channel. Or I'm going to make a doc for just full server administration and maintenance of this, and this will be shared, and it'll have everything in one place. So how to start the server, A lot of this setup we're not going to replicate because you can just clone my GitHub repository and start from there. It has all this done. But all the other stuff like making migrations, running migrations, connecting to your database, and tarballing, and all of the things that we need to do for the server, I'm gonna make a sort of a reference for all of that. Okay. So I'm gonna copy this and we run our migration. Now, because we have that synchronized thing set, I'm not sure if we actually need to do this, but this is how you do it. Even if you had in your ORM config this synchronized false, you probably want that true to be the case in production. So I'm actually going to just save it like that, I think. And we run our migration. So this has created the tables in our database. We can do ts-node-dev. Oh, no, sorry. In our package JSON, we can actually set up scripts. So this is little shortcuts. Rather than having to make shell scripts or bash scripts, we can just say what they do here. So this npm start will just automatically run what we need. But let's add dev at the end of here because we installed that. And what that's going to do is actually make it restart. It's like nodemon. It restarts every time you save it. So we want to add that on the end there. But then all we do is npm start. And this is a good way to add new scripts. So for example, we're going to say scripts here. We'll add a new one that's called migrate. And this is actually going to just take, whoops. Oh man, I'm all over the place here. This is going to take the run migration. And we'll save this so you don't have to remember this every time. And then we can add another one, which is, this is sort of like a Django convention, but we'll say make migrations. And then we don't know what name it's going to be every time, so we'll just leave that blank. If you use this, you do npm run migrate or npm run make migrations, and you'll actually get these commands run. So we don't have to remember them every time. We're going to be doing those probably a lot. Okay, so we have our server running on port 3000. We can go right to Insomnia or Postman and get messages. Come on, get out of here. All right. And we don't have any messages. We can try to post a message. But it violates a foreign key constraint because the user we're trying to send it as doesn't exist. So this works exactly the same. We get just the same nice messages. These are from TypeORM. It's generally better, and I feel pretty good about it. So this will say null value, oh, post users. Okay, we're done with our user. And if we now, oh gee, it didn't give us the ID of the user. We'll have to get users. Oh, wait, I forgot. I did this wrong a little bit. It did not complain about our, we left users.create. It needs to be saved because that does exist, but create in TypeORM doesn't actually save to the database. So our server should restart. We should be able to post users, and we'll get an error now because age is not nullable. Let's add that. Okay, we're all good. Now we get our new ID. Everything's working like we expect. So if we get messages, we still don't have a message. If we make a message, it's going to complain first because we're posting a message and we don't have a user ID. But I don't think we send a user ID. I think we just say user here. And this is 2 because that was the ID of our new user. So we're all good. We can make messages and we can save them. We can get them. Everything's the same as before. So we're all up and running with TypeORM. This code is all in a repository called just chat room in my own GitHub. And you can clone this and use this as a starting point. I'm going to go to, I'm going to make one update. I think this is mine. The package JSON, I want to add the stuff we had here. That's really nice to have these helper scripts just available right away. So we're going to say here, migrate is this other one. And now we can do stuff like, I'm going to go to the folder where this is. So this is okay. And I'm going to check this into Git. Okay, so we can say npm run make migrations. And see, it runs the script for us. Now, why does it not like it? Oh, we're missing name. Oh no, okay. How about this? Name auto. Hopefully we can just do that as many times as we want. No changes in database were found. Okay, so you can make an empty one if you want to start doing a custom one, but whenever you need to make changes, all you have to do is do npm run make migrations, and this will generate the migration that's needed to change your columns or whatever it is. Unless you make a new column that's not nullable or something where there's existing data that can't easily be updated, it may have a problem with it. It may be extra steps. So definitely reach out if you have trouble making migrations. Then we can do npm run migrate. And this runs your migrations, assuming relation user already exists. Okay, so I think it's because we migrated using a different project into the same database, and it's all inconsistent now. So let's try one more time. Delete that database. And this takes a lot longer if you're doing it from the command line and everything. I just don't have time. This is called Postico. It's a Mac app. I recommend it for using Postgres. And if you want help with that, let me know. So we'll delete that. We'll make a new database called chat room. And I guess it stays italic maybe until it really exists, or I don't know why it's doing that, but okay, we'll say npm run make migrations, and it generated another migration. I feel like I already had the migration. Yeah, so now I have two. So it's not super smart about like whether the migration already exists. So I guess you always want it to match your database, because if we do it in the other order, if we run npm run migrate, it's gonna break. Relation user already exists. I wonder what database oh, I thought I deleted this thing. Okay, so it commits and it's all successful, but now if we run make migrations, it's gonna see that we ran that matching, because it was a different number in the other project, so it didn't recognize we'd already run the migration. Let me commit this generate fix. Okay, so that's just about it. One thing I want to check here is how do you make the column nullable? Because the age column should totally be nullable. And it doesn't seem to be by default. And let's see. This, I think I already tried this. It doesn't work. Okay, that's not very helpful. That's what I. No, typo error is terrible too. No, I think it's okay, but nullable default value is false. Is this a bug? Oh, geez. Let's check what does our migration actually say. And it says create table user, blah, 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 age, integer, not null. So it's totally generating something that says not null. And let me just make sure I'm not crazy here. User, age. This is totally what people are doing. Nullable, true. Oh, maybe I just typed it wrong before. Maybe I'm just sorry about this. Let's see, run make migrations. Okay, migration auto here. So drop not null, there it is. Okay, cool, so that worked fine. Now I'm gonna rename, this is generally good practice when you have auto-generated ones. I'm gonna make this nullable age user, just so that when you read through them, you don't have to like open each migration to see what it does. So here's my new migration. It's looking good. I'm going to say npm run migrate. That took a while, but one migration is already loaded. 2 migrations were found in the source code. They're very nice. It's very smart and it's working very well. So we do npm start. Now you don't need npm run start because start is special, I guess, but it's the same idea. You can do npm run start. Okay, and we start up our, and because we were converting it to nullable, we don't have to do anything special because all the data in the database already has an age. If we were converting it from nullable to not nullable, there might be some columns that didn't have an age and they require it now. So it would be, there'd be extra setup. I'm not sure how well TypeORM handles it, but whoever tries that, let me know. It might be a little extra work to make a column not nullable when it's already nullable. This is an easy direction. Okay, so back to Insomnia, we can say get users. And we see the list of users here, which is empty. We can post users. We don't have the right fields, of course. We need email, we need name. I think if we send a 2 as the name, it's totally fine with the name being 2. Huh. I wonder if it's really 2 or if it just saved it as the string 2. If we get users, we might see something different, but see, age is fine being nullable now. So our migration worked. Yeah, okay, the name is actually a string, but it returns it the first time as the number because it didn't even bother to verify that that's what it was in the database. But so maybe watch out for that. Like JavaScript is tricky. All right, anyway, before this thing just crashes in the middle of a sentence, I think I'm gonna call it there. We'll check in our code with our second migration. This is our change to the user model here. We'll say make age nullable on user model. And we'll push that up. So that's pretty much it. Send me any questions you have about using TypeORM, but basically the command to get it, this project, which has everything that we just reviewed, is you're going to want to clone this. So the command here would be git clone. Here, this is the repository which has TypeORM. And if that doesn't work, you can try the use HTTPS one instead. I'd prefer the use SSH URL when we're cloning it. But this one's nice because this is also, I think you can paste this into a browser too, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that is it. You can get started from there. You can obviously feel free to change the name of it. You can feel free to fork this repository into your account if you'd like. You can click that fork button here. Now, obviously, I can fork it into somewhere else, but I can't fork it again because this is already in my personal account. But we could fork it into Hack Upstate. And that will just basically give the account, it'll make a copy into your account, which is affiliated with this, but you can then change it. Now you can either do that or just download the files and put them in a new folder, and use that to start, or you can go through the whole process that we did and let me know how it goes. I will post another video later at some point about continuous integration, because that's one more topic that I think it's worth possibly setting up. Again, that's automating the tarball, tarring up something, uploading to a server, and starting, restarting the server, so that all you have to ever do is commit and push to GitHub. And then the automation deploys it from there. It's very nice because then if you go to all the trouble of setting up your server, setting up your DNS and everything, and then also setting up CI, you don't really have to touch any kind of deployment stuff as long as it doesn't break. You can just commit to GitHub and that's your whole process. Heroku's already pretty close to that. Heroku has definitely got the ability to just do a very similar, and you can set up a hook so that you do in fact push to GitHub and that pushes to Heroku, but you can also just push to both. And when you push to GitHub, it goes on GitHub. When you push to Heroku, it does deploy. That's how it works. So anyway, we'll do a little bit on CI, but that's all for this. This is the one I'd recommend. That's why it's its own repository. And in general, I feel pretty good about TypeORM, and having the TS files here and having the ability to say, like, user dot, and it knows what you're talking about. It knows that if you type something wrong, it highlights it and it says, this is an error. It highlights the file in red. It knows all kinds of stuff about your code, and as well as, also obviously the ORM works, which is very good. So that's it. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you around. Let me know on my calendar for any one-on-ones. Bye.